It was nearly midnight at Maplewood Elementary. The halls were silent, the classrooms dark, and only the soft hum of the floor buffer echoed through the long corridor. Ethan Walker, the night janitor, moved slowly from room to room, his worn mop swaying in rhythm. He was a tall man in his late 30s, with kind eyes that had seen both hardship and hope. On his wrist was a friendship bracelet, a string of pink and blue beads made by his daughter Lily. Lily was 7. Bright, curious, and completely blind, every evening Ethan would tuck her in before heading to his second job. But tonight, things were different. The babysitter had canceled last minute, and Ethan couldn't afford to miss another shift. So, with a blanket, a storybook, and her favorite stuffed bunny, he brought Lily along to work. She sat quietly in the cafeteria while he cleaned, humming to herself. Her small fingers traced the edges of her bunny's worn ears. Ethan worked fast, but his heart ached watching her sit alone under the flickering light. "Daddy," she called softly. "Yes, sweetheart. Can I dance?" He smiled. She always asked that. Lily loved to dance even though she couldn't see. She said she could feel the music. Ethan took out his old phone and played their favorite tune, "You Are My Sunshine." The sound was tinny, but to Lily it was magic. She stood up, her arms outstretched. Ethan put the mop aside, knelt down, and took her little hands. They began to sway, slowly, clumsily, between rows of stacked chairs and empty lunch tables. Her laughter filled the cafeteria like sunlight, echoing against the tiled walls. "Am I doing okay, Daddy?" "You're perfect, Lily. You're my sunshine." And neither of them noticed the woman standing in the doorway. Claire Donovan, the CEO of the company that managed the school's cleaning services, had come in late to drop off some documents. She was known for being sharp, efficient, the kind of woman who lived by her schedule. But as she watched the janitor and his daughter dance in the empty cafeteria, something inside her softened. She had grown up with wealth, privilege, but never warmth. Seeing this man, in his faded uniform and worn-out shoes, holding his blind daughter like she was the most precious thing in the world, it broke something open inside her. She stayed hidden for a while, just watching. The way he twirled her, careful not to let her bump into anything. The way he laughed, even though his eyes were tired. The way she smiled, even though she couldn't see him. When the song ended, Lily yawned and whispered, "That was the best dance ever." Ethan kissed her forehead and wrapped her in her blanket. "You get some sleep, my little dancer. Daddy's got a few more classrooms to finish." The next morning, Ethan came in early, expecting another long day. But as he walked through the main office, he saw Claire waiting for him. "Mr. Walker," she said, holding a folder. "Can I have a word?" His heart sank. He thought he was in trouble for bringing Lily. He started to apologize. "Ma'am, I'm so sorry about last night. I didn't have anyone to watch her and..." She held up her hand gently. "No apologies needed. I saw what happened." Ethan froze. "You saw?" She smiled softly. "I did. And it was the most beautiful thing I've seen in a long time." Then she handed him the folder. "I'd like to offer you a promotion. A full-time custodial supervisor position. With benefits, a raise, and daytime hours. You'd have more time with Lily." Ethan blinked in disbelief. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," she said. "You've earned it." His voice trembled. "Thank you, ma'am. You don't know what this means to us." Claire smiled again, but this time it wasn't the polished, corporate smile she gave in boardrooms. It was real. "Actually, I think I do." Before she left, she knelt beside Lily, who was holding onto her father's hand. "Hi, sweetheart," Claire said. "I saw you dancing last night. You were wonderful." Lily grinned. "Did you hear the music too?" "I did," Claire replied, "and I think it changed me a little." A few months later, the school held a fundraiser. Claire arranged for a live band, and before the evening ended, she called Ethan and Lily onto the stage. "This dance," she said into the microphone, "reminds us that kindness can appear in the quietest corners. Sometimes, it's not the people in the spotlight who make the biggest difference. It's the ones mopping the floors when no one's watching." Ethan lifted Lily into his arms as the crowd stood and applauded. And when the music began again, father and daughter danced. This time not alone in a dim cafeteria, but under bright lights, surrounded by people who finally saw them. Claire watched from the side, tears in her eyes. She wasn't thinking about business, profits, or schedules anymore. She was thinking about how one small act of love had reminded her of everything truly important. and as Lily's laughter rang out across the room, everyone felt it. That rare, quiet truth we all forget. Sometimes the applause faded, but the feeling in the room didn't. For a few long seconds, time seemed to stand still. Ethan held Lily close, her head resting against his shoulder. He could feel her heartbeat, small and steady, right next to his own. Around them, people smiled through tears. Teachers, parents, students, even the usually stern principal wiped her eyes. For most of his life, Ethan had been invisible. The man who swept the halls, emptied the trash, and worked when everyone else slept. But in that moment, with his daughter in his arms, he wasn't invisible anymore. He was seen. After the event, people came up one by one to shake his hand, to thank him, to tell him how much that simple dance had moved them. Someone even slipped an envelope into his pocket, a small donation for Lily's care, with no name attached. That night, as Ethan tucked Lily into bed, she whispered, "Daddy, why were people clapping for us?" He smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "Because they saw what I've always known," he said softly. "What's that?" "That my little girl has the biggest heart in the world." As she giggled sleepily. "Can we dance again tomorrow?" He nodded. "Always." The two, meanwhile, Claire couldn't stop thinking about what she'd seen. For years, her life had been a checklist. Meetings, mergers, and milestones. She'd built her company from the ground up, but somewhere along the way, she'd built walls around herself too. After the fundraiser, she found herself driving in silence, the image of that father and daughter replaying in her mind. The way Lily laughed without sight. The way Ethan smiled without wealth. She thought about her own father. A man who was never there to see her dance recitals, who thought love was something you earned through success. She realized how empty that had left her. The next morning, she made a decision. A week later, Ethan arrived at work to find a letter waiting on his desk. It was from Claire.